to know that the truth is the truth, and that's all we have. Who the Creator is in you, for you to know the truth, and not have to believe some bullshit that you was taught to. What I'm sharing with y'all right now might be muted. Who knows? But I'm gonna share it anyway. They can do what they want to. I'm gonna constantly shout out to you being my people. That's all people that started off as a heart inside the womb. Period. The creation of you being the creator. Two. I say it again. The creation to be creator. Two. Think about what I'm saying. The creativity in you is the creator of you, giving you the touch of love unconditionally that you feel to be real, to be a creator too. I'll say it to you again and I'll say it to you slowly this time. The creativity in you is the creator of you. It's the spark before the smoke of fire. It's that feeling of motivation. It's that love unconditioned that you feel to know you are alive. You can pinch yourself to feel the pinch, to be able to put what happened to you together in your mind, and then it comes out of your mouth after the divine gives you all that's in your mind. You just have free will to put it all together. It's your choices to what you want to know, and the truth will set you free in the only place you could be free. And it starts where you start off as inside the womb. You start off as a heart. The beat, the vibration, your start is the creator creating you to start, for your mother to teach you a start that starts off with a lie. Meaning, you start after you are birthed here. Listen to me carefully. Your first day on earth is a lie. Your lie, your first day is when the man gave you your birthday, when really the truth is you was just born. So think about this. Why did man give you birthday and go born out the window like it never happened, when your mama did all the work to deserve all of birth and date and born? Because you didn't do no work to deserve birthday. You was just born, a empty glass waiting to be filled with some truth. Because by us being in Babylon, the truth is the truth. Slippery, so lies can't hold on. Lies just slide off and the truth carries on. Not here in Babylon. You was born into the first lie. So eventually you're going to have a lot of lies that comes along with that lie. So listen to me carefully, because I'm not lying. I'm telling you the honest truth. So help me love more. No, so help me God. That's the man-made bullshit. The Creator's original name is love. Man changed it to God so man could kill and destroy. I'm just saying, you can't kill and destroy a creation by saying the Creator's original name, by saying love. I'm just saying to tell you the truth to where I went to know the truth, to tell you that I've been where you're trying to go. I'm just doing my job to go back. I'm just saying, I'm eternal, baby. I know my life is eternal, and that's facts. I can prove it to you. So, like I say again, the truth is the truth, but we're living in a twisted up Babylon. So when you look at people, your belief system is all wrong because you only believe in what you was taught to believe in, and that is what you do because you was taught to. But now it's time for you to know the truth for yourself. Because back to you being given birthday when you were just born on that day, and that woman did all that no help, without no help but her being a creator here on earth herself. She felt what it feels like to birth creation that was created inside of her womb. So I'll say to you, people, I say to you, man, I say to you, woman, think about this here on your own. Why are you praising a creator outside of you when you are a creator too? Inside of you is the creator of you. You just have to shine it through. Do you understand, overstand, understand, get that you was never taught to believe in you? You was always taught to believe outside of you because you should have been taught to know you and not have to believe in some bullshit somebody is telling you to. I'm just saying. It is what it is, people. So we're about to live there and do this here with these pharmaceutical drugs. Let's go. Pharmaceutical drugs. Take fucking one.
Prescription drug fraud is the number one narcotics issue facing the United States of America. No, he was not trying to die. I think he was just, doing stupid things that stupid kids do.
It's a shame to say
when
that
America entered the new millennium, it entered a new era in the world of drug abuse.
doctors are
From
not
the
wholly
streets of the
responsible
cities to
for
the
the shit that
secluded
they
family
do,
homes in the suburbs, prescription drug abuse is a problem
but they
that's
got the
spilling out of
pharmacy
pill bottles and
trying to
into the
watch out
lives
for
of
us.
millions of Americans. Back in the year 2000, about 1.5 million Americans abused prescription drugs. 2 years later, that number quadrupled to more than 6 million, increasing a whopping 400%. I'm Sue Zelenko. I'm about to show you how prescription drugs are killing more than pain.
Now I stop right there and say, how else could it quadruple unless the doctors are writing the prescriptions? They're trying to make it seem like it's the people that's doing this when it's really the doctors that's doing this because the doctors are issuing out the prescriptions simply because they're getting paid to issue out the prescriptions. That's why I'm not on Xanax. That's why I'm not on all those different psycho, psychedelic drugs. I'm not on none of them, and I could be on them and doing what these people do, selling them, but I don't sell none of that shit because I'm straight. I'm right. I am right. I tell you that there, I am right. So anyway you look at it, I am right on that right there, and it is what it is. So when you look at how you go through everything you go through to get some medication that was given to you from a doctor, and then when you run out because the doctor missed the prescription on how he's prescribed the medication for you to take it, and next thing you know you can't go without it. But as soon as you start taking control over your life and start slacking up on taking the medicine like he like, they get upset and want to stop you. I'm just saying, I'm making sure I make a tape of all the bullshit that's happening to me when they try to stop it. Because all the bullshit that's been happening to me is wrong. And it's happening to me because of doctors. And it's happening to me all because I'm telling the doctors that if you really wanted someone to get healthy, you'll be telling them the right way to get healthy. And medication is not the way to get healthy. Medication is just like putting a band-aid on a cut that needs stitches. But they know if they constantly put a band-aid on it, sooner or later that cut gonna get worse and worse, and then they're gonna have to put you on some other type of medication. But that's horrible. But I know the truth now to not have to believe in some bullshit. Here we go.
Non-medical use of narcotic pain relievers, tranquilizers, stimulants, and sedatives are ranked second behind marijuana as a category of major abuse among adults and youth.
That's John Walters, the director of the Office of National Drug Control Policy. He says emergency room visits related to painkiller abuse have increased 163% from 1995 to 2002. Walters has made it a national priority to fight prescription drug abuse. During the next hour, we'll see how these abusers are getting their drugs and how law enforcement, doctors, and pharmacists are fighting the problem. The abused prescription drugs are all controlled substances. The DEA places drugs into one of 5 categories based on the substance's medicinal value, the harmfulness, and the potential for abuse or addiction. Schedule 1 includes the most dangerous drugs with no recognized medical use, like heroin and cocaine, while Schedule 5 contains the least dangerous drugs. Sentencing laws vary depending on where the drug falls on the schedule. Here are some of the drugs they're dealing with.
Hydromorphone is a Schedule II narcotic. One brand name is Dilaudid. It's a semi-synthetic opiate used to treat moderate to severe pain.
I'm just help sharing the truth, people.
Oxycodone is also
This is a lot of bullshit that y'all
Some
stuck
brand
on.
names are Oxycontin, Percocet, and Percodan. Oxycontin differs from the
I done
others
been
in
on
this
all
category
these drugs.
because of its time-release design. One pill can last for up to 12 hours. But if someone breaks down the
You
pill,
sit there and say
the
that you're
entire
not a
dose of
drug
painkiller
addict.
is released in one
If
dose,
you got
resulting
medication
in a
that you
heroin-like
taking
high.
every day, you are a drug addict.
Morphine sulfate
You
drugs
have
like
been
MS-Contin
snookered.
create euphoric effects.
You have been lied
Highly
to.
addictive.
You have been
Withdrawal symptoms
tricked
can be severe.
to being in a system that now has taken control over
Hydrocodone drugs
your
like
human
Vicodin,
system.
Lortab, and
To now
Lorcet
you are
are
nothing but a
pain
toxic
relievers for
soup because
moderately
of your
severe
medication.
pain. When abused, they depress the central nervous system, creating a calming effect. Xanax is the brand name for alprazolam and is used to treat anxiety, depression, and panic disorders.
And you'll have anxiety
It's 10 times
and
more
depression
potent than
if you was
diazepam,
afraid of
brand
dying.
name Valium.
I'd have been on all these drugs.
Benzodiazepine.
That should make it
Central
worse.
nervous system
Make you feel like
depressants.
killing yourself.
They slow normal
And you're
brain
already
function
afraid of
and
dying.
create a calming effect.
That medication is bad, people.
Dextropropoxyphene, like Darvocet and Darvon, are synthetic opiates prescribed to treat mild to moderate pain. Abusers like their euphoric effects.
Keep in mind, those are just a few of the prescription drugs that people abuse. There are many more, and new drugs are coming out all the time, like Pelladone. It's new on the market in January 2005. Pelladone is a time-release hydromorphone. When crushed, chewed, or snorted, the extended-release mechanism is defeated, leading to a euphoric high, kind of like OxyContin. Law enforcement, the FDA, and the drug's maker, Purdue Pharma, are concerned about the abuse potential, so there's an explicit warning on the label. So who uses these drugs? It might not be who you think. John Lawson had to do something no parent should have to do. plan a funeral for his son, Nicholas.
I'm just saying, people. I used to be on all these drugs. I'm only on 2 drugs now. And that's for muscle spasms and pain. And I know how to take these bullshit ass drugs without getting addicted to it. But now that I'm taking it the way that I want to take it, my doctors want to take it away from me because I'm not taking it how they want me to take it and get addicted to it where I have to have it. That's cold.
It's a loss you can't really deal with. I mean, it's unnatural for a child to die before a parent.
Unnatural. He's right.
Definitely out of control and, doing things that
right.
They shouldn't be doing. But he got hold of some prescription drugs at a neighbor's house, and they were narcotics, and I don't think he really knew just how strong they were. One of them was fentanyl, which is a lollipop delivered drug. It looks like candy. And he came in about 10 or 11, which, was kind of late, but still, it was Saturday night. He was acting goofy, but, I didn't smell alcohol in his breath. I didn't know, what was going on. And he went to bed. That was the last that we saw of Nick. One Sunday morning, he didn't get up. About 11 o'clock, maybe 12 o'clock, I decided to go in and get him up to see if he wanted to go to a movie that afternoon. And when I opened the door, there was foam coming out of his nose and mouth, and I knew he was dead. We found in some of his clothes, or he had wrapped up and tucked under his pillow. We found the leftover lollipop stick, and then in some of his other clothes we found a wrapper that was from the fentanyl. Nick was a good kid. Yeah, he screwed up and he did something he shouldn't have. I don't think he realized what he was doing or what he was getting into. He should be here today.
And he ain't won't die.
The heck out of him.
He ain't won't die.
No, he was not trying to die.
He definitely wasn't trying to die. That's if you ask me to sit under the pillow. He'll try to take that in the morning.
John says the fentanyl lollipops were in the neighbor's house because a grandfather used them to treat his cancer pain. The grandfather died at least a year before Nick got a hold of them. John says the neighbor should have disposed of these narcotics. The fentanyl lollipops are sold under the name Actique. They dissolve slowly in a patient's mouth, and they're good for people who are resistant to opiates or who can't swallow. On the streets, they're known as Perco Pops, and they sell for $20. Police in Philadelphia say they're already a big problem there, and they're spreading across the country. Why do people start abusing prescription drugs? Is it to relieve pain, to escape, or is it something else?
My name is Brianna, and I'm from Polk County. I've been addicted to ecstasy, crack, coke, crank, and then the last, I guess I got tired of getting in trouble for
Boy, that nigga, there was a pharmaceutical company for sure.
Prescription drug, because I had a prescription. And I figured, well, I won't get in trouble or go to jail. I could just take this. Because I was in a car wreck in 2003, and I have two herniated discs in my back. So it took me a period of about 9 months to go from Vicodin to Oxycontin with the doctor that I was seeing. And he gave me the Xanax for anxiety. And then once I saw that doctor, I went to see a psychiatrist, and he gave me the Valium and Diazepam. I had my prescriptions every month, and if I ran out, I was okay because it was usually like a week. Because I also sold them. I didn't just take them. I didn't sell them to make money. a whole lot of money. I just sold them because people would ask me for them. And if I paid for the prescription, I wasn't going to give them away. So I sold them. But out of all the prescriptions, that was the main thing I liked, was Xanax. And I didn't like just a little bit of it. I liked the whole 2 milligrams, 3 or 4 times a day. You know, with Xanax, you don't get all stressed out. You're just real mellow.
And you're a fucking zombie, man. You ain't mellow. You're a fucking zombie. You're a fucking zombie. You don't have a care in the world about nothing. You're a fucking
I
zombie.
don't remember a lot. I didn't have to feel it. Basically, I didn't have to feel anything. I just didn't want to feel anything. I didn't like the way things were going in my life. And it's just it's an escape for me. It was an escape for me to just not feel what was really going on inside of me. The longer I'm here, the more important it is for me to stay clean. And the more I want to stay clean. Some days it's worse than others, but I can't take anything in here, so I guess this is teaching me how to deal with pain on the outside as well. I'm not going to say I don't want to get high. I want to get high every day. Every day I want to get high. I just don't. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm at with all this. I just know that today I'm not going to get high.
You might be wondering how prescription drug addicts
You gotta take it one day at a time.
One law enforcement
nobody
officer
promised
said some
tomorrow.
prescription addicts
You can
actually
rock- you
spend
can
more
die
time
right
trying
now.
to figure out how they're going to get their drugs than we spend at our jobs. One way to get the pills is to divert them, meaning transferring a drug from a lawful to an unlawful use. For example, a person might visit a doctor complaining of back pain. Well, that doctor then writes a prescription for a painkiller. The patient then takes that legitimate prescription, changes the number of pills to be dispensed, or maybe something else on the paper, and takes the now illegally altered prescription to a pharmacy. Another way is called doctor shopping, when one person goes to multiple doctors with the sole purpose of obtaining multiple prescriptions for medication. Sometimes drug seekers resort to violent activities, and innocent people are getting caught in the crossfire.
We had a robbery at the pharmacy that I was working at. It was a hot August afternoon in Madeira Beach, Florida, when a man came into an Eckerd, now CVS drugstore. He asked to transfer a prescription. After checking with the original pharmacy, the pharmacist refused. The man left, but he came back.
I was talking to our cashier right near the register, and he came in. The next thing I know, he walks behind the cashier area of the pharmacy, and I looked at him and said, "Hey, you can't come back here." He immediately grabbed our cashier, pulled out about a 4-inch knife, and stuck it to her neck.
Unfortunately, pharmacy robbery numbers are on the rise.
In the past, and when I say past, approximately 10, 15 years ago, it was almost an abnormality for a pharmacy to be robbed for its drugs. I mean, it would happen on occasion. It is becoming more of a growing trend. NADI is the National Association of Drug Diversion Investigators.
Lisa McElhaney teaches fellow law enforcement officers how to spot and investigate drug diversion. She has spent the past 15 years as a drug diversion investigator in one of Florida's largest counties. She's an expert about crimes related to prescription drugs.
The addiction levels have reached such a high, the abuse potential for certain drugs have fed individuals at a younger age to the point that they crave these drugs. They need their drugs. They cannot get the quantity that they need to feed this craving from legitimate sources.
This map shows what she's talking about. According to RX Patrol, an online information clearinghouse for drug diversion, there were 297 pharmacy and hospital robberies and 109 burglaries during the past 2 years. Most of the bad guys showed a weapon, usually a gun or knife. There were also hundreds of cases of forged and fraudulent prescriptions. Pharmacies aren't the only places drug seekers are robbing.
We also see a tremendous increase in burglaries, where individuals will report that somebody broke into my house and the TV and VCR is still there, but they took everything out of the medicine cabinet.
But those cases aren't always what they've seen. McElhaney says many of the crimes are legitimate, but officers need to be careful when writing their reports about home robberies and burglaries. She says people will sometimes fake a robbery or burglary to get a police report saying their drugs were stolen. Then they take that police report to their doctor in an effort to get another prescription.
And in many instances, if you basically sit them down and advise them that filing a police report is a crime, in many instances they'll back off.
Some ways to tell. The victims don't want to provide all the facts, like the doctor's name, location of the pharmacy where they filled the prescription, the date it was filled, the exact drug stolen, things like that. They just want a simple report saying drugs were stolen.
So when you push them for the facts, when you push them for more information, most of the individuals that are attempting to file a fraudulent report will back off.
Another problem is people posing as someone they're not, like saying they're a healthcare worker.
When the individual is discharged, I've had individuals that go to the house saying, I'm from the hospital, I want to make sure that everything is okay, that your meds are squared away, that everything is set up, and you have everything that you need, and the family is overwhelmed. They think this is absolutely wonderful. These people, they're so caring, the hospital, this is a great program. Well, when the individual leaves, so do half of the controlled substances that the patient was prescribed.
McElhaney suggests being aware of anyone entering your home. Ask for ID from people you don't recognize, even if they are wearing a uniform. And stay with workers who are in your home. These imposters usually know exactly which house they want to hit.
So there's a specific knowledge base to the crimes that we're seeing. They don't just randomly break into a house hoping to hit on drugs. They usually have some type of intelligence that tells them that these individuals will have what they want.
And the bad guys usually know what they want. Just ask pharmacist Dave Johnson, who is still around to enjoy the Florida sunshine. His cashier was able to free herself from the knife-wielding robber, but the drama didn't stop there.
He says, I want my drugs. I said, what do you want? He says, I want hydrocodone. So I started walking back there. Well, he jumped up on me and said, I want the drugs now. And he had the knife in his hand. So I went and got him off the shelf. I grabbed the bottle with about 25 or 30 pills. I showed him the label. He looked inside. He says, no, I want a full bottle, and proceeded to step all the way up on the counter, both feet, holding the knife. And so I tossed him the bottle. He grabbed it and took off running.
Police caught up with the robber a little while later. Jumpy has some advice for his fellow pharmacists.
Yeah, give them what they want. I mean, without a doubt, when it gets that far along, give them what they want, because the pills just aren't worth it.
Joffy says he now looks at people a little more closely than he did before, and he's a lot more likely to call for security. Here's another thing. Lisa McElhaney said some drug seekers will read the obituaries looking for people who died from painful diseases like cancer. They'll see when the funeral is and then burglarize the home looking for drugs. They'll assume that nobody will be at the house during the funeral. So it may be best to avoid saying what a person died of in an obituary and to have someone at the house during the funeral. According to RX Patrol, most of the pharmacy robberies occur between 4 p.m. and midnight, and many on Mondays. As for burglaries, those happen when nobody's around, usually between midnight and 8 a.m. So how do you try to reverse the trends in a time where money is tight, and it seems everyone needs to do more with less? One police department is taking a proactive approach to stopping prescription drug abuse. The Louisville Metro Police Department in Kentucky has 5 detectives working full-time to try to stop people from diverting prescription drugs.
The illicit drug war, we won't stop fighting it, but I don't know how we're going to win. The prescription drugs, we can stop it. How do we stop it? Awareness through education.
More than 100 people listened to Detective Sergeant Bill Stivers talk at a drug diversion conference.
People aren't just going to take our word for it. Give them some hard data.
They're learning what makes his Louisville Metro Drug Diversion Unit so successful. Since 1990, the department has caught about 4,800 drug diverters.
The traditional drug addict that you think of, a disheveled, poverty-stricken person, that's the face of a prescription drug offender. And so is that of a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman, it will reach out and grab anyone. My newsletter.
So Detective Stivers is trying to get the word out. Ask for help anywhere and in any way he can get it. He uses a monthly email newsletter, which goes to law enforcement, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, and any other healthcare professional.
The newsletter, what does it do? It highlights prescription drug fraud offenses or patterns that we are encountering in Louisville. It highlights the arrests that we've made in Louisville. And by sending that out to other agencies, they can be made aware of the problems we're dealing with and compare it to what they have and hopefully come up with a solution.
The newsletter takes a somewhat humorous tone about a serious issue. It summarizes the month's arrests, case highlights, and gives credit where it's due.
When a healthcare professional gives us information, they like to get something back. It may be something as small as a phone call from us saying thank you. It might be something as small as seeing their name in the newsletter.
Or it might be bigger. Every month, Stivers and his department award a Mug of the Month. It goes to the person who provides the lead or tip leading to the most significant arrest. All the detectives on the squad talk about who deserves the mug.
Oh, fuck y'all. I'll fuck around there and report these bitches and fuck around in a body bag. Fuck y'all.
Builds incentive on the healthcare professional side to combat prescription drug fraud. They know that their efforts are being rewarded.
Stivers also talks about his RX alert. It goes out via email whenever it needs to warn of a situation needing immediate attention.
Type of complaint.
Once the tips and arrests come in, a computer tracking program keeps everything straight.
What I suggest is a prescription drug fraud database that tracks a person by both the name that a prescription was written in and the arrestee's actual and true name, as well as the prescribing doctor, the pharmacist, the medication, quantity.
But the arrests don't come without communication and cooperation.
Just as much as the healthcare professionals have to be a little bit of a police officer now, the police officer has to know something about the medical prescribing practices. The two realms have now merged. And that overlap is this huge chasm of an issue, which is prescription drug fraud.
You understand who's giving the motherfuckers out?
It's the doctors law enforcement needs to worry about.
No.
Some unscrupulous doctors run pill mills, meaning they'll write prescriptions for just about anything, legitimate or not. Often those offices are obvious. Lines will be out the door, people will gather around them, or the office might have strange hours like this one. Notice the sign here. It says that it's open from 6 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday and from 2 to 5 on Saturdays. These out-of-the-ordinary clinic hours could be a sign of illegal activity. Also, the office isn't exactly in the best of shape, another sign of a possible problem. The director of the Drug Enforcement Administration, Karen Tandy, says only 51 doctors were arrested and prosecuted for prescription diversion in fiscal year 2003.
This is a percentage of doctors who've been prosecuted at, I believe it averages out to, if you look at the number of registrants, there are almost 1 million. The number of 51 doctors is, I believe, 0.005% of all of the doctors out there.
From the doctors to the pharmacies, sometimes the pharmacists at the stores are the last line of defense between a diverter and his drugs. How do you try to stop someone who's just looking for a high?
Pharmacists at Walgreens stores fill hundreds of prescriptions each day, helping many patients find relief. But some people are trying to beat a habit, and they're often difficult to spot.
I think personally, I'm not sure if you could say how someone looks. There may be somebody that you would never in a million years would have thought would have been that person.
Jackie Donovan visits busy Walgreens pharmacies like this one as part of her job as a district pharmacy supervisor in the Tampa, Florida area. Her job is to hire and train pharmacists to uphold policies and procedures. She also teaches them how to spot diverters, things that make her suspicious: patients trying to get early refills, using multiple pharmacy locations, seeing nothing on their patient profile but controlled substances, and patients asking strange questions like, which medication is stronger? Can I take it more than what the doctor says? Donovan says it often comes down to having conversations.
As a pharmacist, that's why we've come into the healthcare business. We're there to discuss the medications with the patient. And no matter how busy you are, I know it's very difficult sometimes in the pharmacy, but that's very important. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're able to discuss something with every single patient that comes through. But those particular individuals that you need to address those things with, it's important to take the time to do so.
Oh, bitches, stop lying, man. Y'all don't take no time out to discuss shit with nobody. Y'all profile a fucking somebody and then y'all go about your business after that. We don't have that medication. I done been through y'all shit before. You crooked bitches. That's why I'm glad I'm getting off y'all medication.
On what you typically see the doctor write for, if that seems odd to you, that he typically doesn't write for that certain type of strength or that certain quantity, you may have cause to question the prescription.
Doctors can also help by paying attention to dates. If it's not to be refilled before a certain date, make sure that it is on the prescription. And type the script, especially the quantity, so it's more difficult to order. What about all those prescriptions doctors' offices call in?
Most of the time you get to know the physician offices that are around you and who those nurses are that work in the office. So those people are calling you quite often. You learn their names, you learn their voices, you have discussions with them every day. So certainly those people are the ones that you grow to trust and count on for legitimate prescriptions.
Here are some red flags. Someone calling in a prescription you haven't heard from before. Prescriptions called in after hours. Voicemail messages without callback numbers, and an odd prescription from a doctor you trust.
I think doctors tend to a lot of times use the same prescribing habits, and you become familiar with those habits. That would be a reason to possibly suspect that prescription or at least question what was going on with that.
Recognizing all of the signs comes down to experience and training. Something Donovan says pharmacists don't always get in school, since students are trying to absorb so much information at once. She says on-the-job training is key.
If you haven't actually gone through those situations yourself, it certainly is an uncomfortable feeling and one where you have a lot of questions running through your own mind as to how I should deal with this particular situation, because it is my decision now. So I think it just comes with time and comes with experience.
To profile people, they should have medication or not.
In a pharmacy. Donovan says Walgreens and other pharmacies take several precautions. Many medications are in locked cabinets, and only pharmacists have the key. The cabinets are not where customers can see them from the windows. The doors to the pharmacy are locked with only authorized personnel allowed in, and security cameras watch the pharmacy at all times. Donovan says no drug is worth losing your life.
As a pharmacist, I would not hesitate in handing over whatever they were asking for if I were feeling threatened at that point in time. We do have loss prevention measures in place, as I'm sure any retail pharmacy does, in terms of how to deal with those situations.
Many pharmacies participate in RX Patrol, an online information clearinghouse. Pharmacies also share information using state prescription monitoring programs. According to the ONDCP, 20 states have such programs, and more are starting them. They're all part of the national strategy.
And I'm going to call y'all shit tomorrow, and I'm going to act a fucking donkey on that bitch. Because of what's been happening to me with y'all drugs.
Programs that can track controlled substances and identify patterns of diversion and abuse. If someone is identified as abusing, their physician can be alerted, and they can be directed into treatment. We can save more lives early by getting people help when we know they have a problem.
The programs collect data for specific drugs and can often pinpoint illegal activity. Each state's program's a little different. For example, the program in Virginia has been around since 2002. The Department of Health Professions maintains the database, and only people authorized by law have access. Now, the program does not allow investigators to launch a new inquiry into doctor shopping, dispensing, or prescribing practices. The information can only be used when an investigation is ongoing because of related information provided by another source. Program directors say legitimate patients, doctors, and pharmacists don't need to worry about being investigated. They already have enough to worry about. 50 million Americans in the United States suffer from untreated or undertreated pain, sometimes because some doctors are afraid to prescribe painkillers, causing patients then to suffer needlessly.
Yep.
The doctors fear being had, duped by a doctor shopper just looking for drugs, or maybe an addict needing a refill. So how is a doctor to know what to do? It's all about the relationships.
Pain is invisible. It's one of those things that's not easy to test. I'm Dr. Sherry Siegel. I'm board certified in neurology and in pain medicine. But with pain, since you can't see it, what we are taught is to believe what the patient tells us. And if the patient tells us that their pain is a 10 out of 10, then that is what we are to believe.
Dozens of drugs exist that can help people with pain function normally. The medications handle the pain, but the potential for addiction and abuse exists.
That's why I slacked up on the shit. Now they don't want me to have this shit because I'm taking this shit to shit. That's the bullshit.
Providing the necessary tests and documenting everything. It also means looking for subtle signs that could signal drug abuse and misuse. Things like ulcers in the nose, skin popping scars from injecting drugs under the skin, track marks from repeated rows of injections, constricted pupils, yellow eyes.
We don't learn in medical school, and very few of us learn in our residency either.
It's like y'all worrying about that.
And how to look for issues of abuse or addiction. Just like I mentioned.
Y'all about
That's
making
why
money.
Dr. Siegel now travels the country teaching doctors how to treat pain while protecting themselves from being doctor shopped. She is the medical director for health policy at Purdue Pharma, makers of the painkiller OxyContin and other drugs. She avoids using the words red flags when talking about signs of possible diversion.
I would sooner use the word yellow flags because there's no one thing that says this is a diversion tactic and this is a cry for help. So it really is in your relationship, and your relationship unfolds as time goes on.
Some of those yellow flags, a patient coming in at the end of the day when the office is about to close, an appointment right before a weekend demanding a drug refill, repeated episodes of lost or stolen prescriptions.
Oh man, that shit sound like me.
Specific drugs. And reciting textbook symptoms.
Because as a doctor, I know that I'm on the front line. People who abuse prescription drugs, one of the main sources is doctor shopping. And so people who pose as patients abuse their right to go to doctors and abuse doctors and doctors' trust.
So what the fuck happened when the doctor abused the fucking patient?
The next step for abusers is the pharmacy. Dr. Siegel has
Well, I'm glad I got my pharmacy to back up everything that I'm saying is true. Because I report them bitches for everything they did me. Now it's just time for me to talk out about it and show the truth.
It's very difficult for someone to take a pen and alter the 1, making it a 4, or making it a 7, or adding 0.
She also suggests tamper-resistant prescription pads. The pads are treated so if someone tries to rinse the words, the ink will bleed, not disappear.
Nah.
An artificial watermark shows the difference between an original and a copy.
They making prescriptions like paper like money. Wow.
Disappearing ink. When you rub it, it goes away.
Wow.
It comes back when the ink cools off. And there's another simple way to protect yourself.
Instead of just writing dispensed or prescribed XYZ drug, 5 pills of XYZ drug, I actually took a photocopy of the prescription I actually wrote. The pharmacist calls and says, gee, this prescription looks funny. Did you write such and such?
Dr. Siegel says it's important to always keep the legitimate patient in mind.
In the United States, we believe someone to be innocent until proven guilty, and that's exactly how, as a physician, I believe we should.
Oh, bitch, shut up, man. You fucking guilty until you prove yourself innocent here. Fuck.
Normal as a result of their pain. When we practice medicine out of fear, and not out of good medical studies and things like that, we're not doing a service to the community nor to the patient. The best way to practice is out of knowledge.
Purdue Pharma will provide free tamper-resistant prescription pads to any doctor who wants them. To order, call 877-88-RX-PAD. The pads will be formatted to meet the requirements of the Board of Pharmacy in your state. There are also other sources of tamper-resistant pads. Some more advice about writing prescriptions? Keep the pads locked away and secure. Don't leave them in the exam room. Never sign an incomplete prescription. And do not print your DEA number on the pad. And another piece of advice for doctors, ask for a photo ID for every patient. This could stop someone from using another person's insurance card. But one thing to keep in mind, pain patients need their medications.
We must ensure that pain medications are still available for legitimate medical needs. This should not be a trade-off between more people suffer pain.
I didn't suffer, so what the fuck?
In order to stop abuse.
Do I get some kind of mental anguish, pain, and suffering compensation? Bunch of bullshit.
Their oath to do no harm. But there are a few who treat their patients while impaired, usually while they're high on painkillers. A study surveyed doctors and nurses anonymously and asked how many were drug and alcohol dependent. The answer? 1 in 6. One hospital.
They lying. It's 3 and 6.
Riverside Hospital wants to know why many of its patients suffered, and police say it happened at the hands of a trusted nurse.
Now, the nurse is accused of stealing her patient's painkillers, but how did she get away with it for more than a year?
Riverside Hospital estimates a dozen or so patients suffered needlessly, but no one got sick and no one died as a result of this nurse's actions, according to the hospital. After a month-long
According to the hospital, but how many people that did die that the hospital wouldn't live there and report because they wasn't taking responsibility for it?
Now in prison and without a nursing license after what happened at Riverside Hospital in Columbus, Ohio, part of the Ohio Health Network. Hospital investigator Eric Russell talked about the case at a gathering of the tri-state region of the National Association of Drug Diversion Investigators.
Typically, we find that a nurse just steals drugs. It's like one of those one for me, one for you type things, where she will go into the pictures, take out a drug, indicate she dispensed or he dispensed X amount to the patient, and then take a little bit for themselves.
But this case was different. An alert nurse noticed a tiny pinprick on the top of a vial of Dilaudid. She looked at others and noticed the same thing. Turns out Moreland had manipulated hundreds of vials during the 18 months she was diverting drugs. She would take vials home, use a needle to take out the drug, replace it with saline, and then return it to circulation at the hospital.
When we saw the problem, it wasn't typical drug diversion. It was drug
I'm trying to tell y'all.
You know, we had, I think we had an obligation to our public to let them know, hey, you know, there was a potential harm issue involving you while you were in our hospital.
So like I say again, you hear how they saying one thing and meaning another. Because when people complain about different things happening to them in the hospitals say that this complaint is going to be investigated. Then send you a piece of paper saying that it was investigated. But I tell you, people, y'all belief system is so fucked up that y'all believe in this system of doctors knowing what's best. Doctors don't know what's best because they only spend 24 hours on health and nutrition. Everything else is medication. That's the bullshit right there. So therefore, you have to start thinking what's best for you and your body that the Creator gave to you to be a creator too. I'm just saying, in order for you to be in full potential of knowing the love unconditional that the Creator gave to you for you to feel, you got to be real in your body. This is your church. The church that you go into and the God and the Jesus that you lay there and praise so strongly, you don't even much know that you was never taught to believe in yourself. You was never taught that the creator's spark of life was given to you. That's right. That's straight. Not right or left or backwards. It's one way to create, and the love that you make, that you creating something for everybody with no material motive at all. Period. But it's fair. It's fair and safe for everybody in this circle of life right here. And medication is not safe if the FDA will say it's okay when they know it's not okay, just to see how much money they can make before they can say, okay, let's put it off the shelf. We'll pay the people that died to shut up and go the fuck away. It is what it is. The truth is the truth. Doctors' job is to get you as much medication in you as they can. I'm just saying. Wake up, people.
The hospital says it didn't detect it sooner because Moreland worked nights and floated from department to department. And while patients were asleep, the hospital says she took the medicine. that was prescribed to them. Now, the hospital says if you have any concern, you're to call this number, 566-3200.
The hospital did receive a few calls, and luckily, nobody died as a result of this nurse's actions. But that isn't always the case, and the problem isn't rare.
I would encourage all of healthcare to really, really look at this as a problem, because it is a problem. It's been in my experience, I average between 12 to 15 drug diversion cases a year.
And that's just in one organization. So Russell's hospital has built a working relationship with the Columbus Police Department.
I would like to be on the first-hand onslaught of the potential problem because a lot of evidentiary value is lost when we don't catch the nurse in the act and we're working off a
or the doctor. Or the doctor.
Narrows the field to...
Kane says he forwards about 50 cases a year to the prosecutor's office, and the majority of them end with a plea bargain. But that's still a conviction, and it usually means disciplinary action from the nursing board.
I think anybody, whether it's a nurse, a civilian, regardless, if they know the consequences are going to be, I'm going to be taken away from my daily routine, I'm going to lose my job, I think that message is clear enough.
Same thing should go with y'all funk-ass police. If y'all are taken away in handcuffs and put in jail for life like y'all do people for killing people, police won't kill people.
If that doesn't curb the appetite for theft, or diversion as it would be called, I don't know what else would.
But nothing will ever stop nurse diversion completely. So the education about the topic continues.
I think all healthcare organizations have to be very, very proactive because, again, it is a problem.
But all healthcares don't care. They don't care.
There
And I proved that just when I called up Molina Healthcare. I see exactly how much they care about my health. And for them not to be a sentinel investigator, it is what it is.
Person is diverting narcotics.
Those flags include mood swings, severe weight loss, high drug waste records, excessive time spent near drug supplies, suffering work performance, volunteering for many overtime shifts. If they're not at the hospital, they can't get their drugs. And insistence of administering narcotics personally to patients. After the Doris Moreland case, Ohio Health changed some policies. Investigators now look at Pyxis reports regularly to check things like waste records and nurse overrides. The hospital also changed how many vials of medication it kept in the Pyxis. Russell tells audiences the key is reporting violators and getting them the help they need.
Nurses that divert drugs are not bad people. Their actions are bad. But I think over the years, people have equated action with behavior. No, they have committed a crime. The person may be a good person, but we're not talking about good or bad people. We're talking about the commission of a crime.
Kane and Russell say that nurses divert drugs more than doctors. It's a matter of accessibility. Doctors usually prescribe the medicine, but they don't administer it themselves. Nurses are also likely to self-medicate because they know the proper dosage. Kane says it's also important to keep in mind some diverters may not be users. Sometimes nurses take the drugs to give or to sell to their friends. So it seems logical to include training about drug diversion in nurse training programs, and many schools do. Dr. Jean Wartock, Dean of the College of Nursing at St. Petersburg College in St. Petersburg, Florida, talked about what future nurses learn at her school.
We make sure that the students are aware of the signs and symptoms of drug diversion among co-workers, what the temptations are to divert drugs, and certainly a great deal about the intervention project for nurses here in Florida, where nurses can receive treatment if they have that problem. I was teaching the class myself, one of the things I said to the students that the statistics are that 1 in 5 nurses. So if you're sitting in a class
1 in 5, 1 in fucking 4.
On either side,
I mean, 2 in 5.
I think that really brings it home that it could be anything. I think a lot of nurses,
Always one
do
less
drugs
than
without
half.
even realizing they're doing it. When they take one patient's medication and give it to another patient, or they take a patient's medication and take it themselves. And it may start with something as simple as a Tylenol. You've got a headache, you know that there's a drawer full of Tylenol for such and such a patient, and you say, oh, well, I'm going to take that Tylenol. Well, next time maybe I'm going to take that codeine, or I'm going to take that Demo, or I'm going to take that Valium. So it's very easy once you slide on that slippery slope to, end up in a serious problem. We have a lot of emphasis on ethics at St. Petersburg College. We have an ethics requirement as a gen ed requirement, so I know those kinds of issues are talked about in the ethics class. And then in every course in the nursing curriculum, we talk about ethics. And I think that's an excellent time to bring it up when you're talking about the ethical issues that nurses face, the ethical issues of what should I do and what shouldn't I do in any given situation. And it's easy to look at, well, what should I do if I see another person doing it, but what am I going to do if it's myself? And I think that's a good time to bring it up, whether it's someone else or whether it's yourself. I would have to say yes, because I think the fact that nurses are overworked and overstressed, and the more stress you put on individuals, if they have any tendency towards drug diverting, they're going to be looking for ways to help themselves either, gear up for the shift, or then once the shift is over, gear down for the shift and cope with the stress. So I would say yes, that the nursing shortage has contributed.
Several states have intervention programs for nurses. Florida's began in 1983 and is a model for others nationwide. The Intervention Project for Nurses provides close monitoring for nurses who are unsafe to practice because of an impairment as a result of alcohol, drugs, or a physical condition. IPN often allows the nurses to return to the profession after successful completion of the process. If the nurse finishes the program, the file's closed, there's no disciplinary action with the Board of Nursing. If the program is not completed, IPN will report the nurse to the Department of Health for possible disciplinary action and revocation of the nursing license. For more information about IPN, go to the website at www.ipnfl.org. All of these problems might have you wondering what the drug companies are doing about prescription drug abuse. One company, Purdue Pharma, is hitting the road to talk about the problem and the solutions.
Purdue Pharma makes OxyContin, a drug containing time-released oxycodone. It hit the market in late 1995, and reports of abuse began in about 2000. Products containing oxycodone have been around for at least half a century, but it's the time-released quality of OxyContin that makes it a godsend for many pain sufferers, and a favorite for drug abusers.
It's designed to give pain relief over a 12-hour period. But if a person chooses to bypass the time-release mechanisms by crushing, chewing, then it causes that medication to be released all at once. Even if they swallow that medication, they're going to get a jolt of oxycodone in a quantity far greater than is safe.
But OxyContin is not alone. Other oxycodones like Percocet and hydrocodones like Vicodin, Loracet, and Lortab are strong painkillers that sent more than 108,000 people to emergency rooms in 2002.
But nowhere on the labels of any of these medications does it tell you to crush it and shoot it up with a needle. It's not designed that way.
Landon Gibbs is the Associate Director of Corporate Security and is part of Purdue Pharma's Law Enforcement Liaison and Education Unit. He and other retired state police and DEA officers travel around the country providing free training classes to law enforcement officers and medical professionals.
When we go in and talk to police officers about drug abuse and diversion in general, what the laws are that affect how a doctor must prescribe, what makes a prescription legal or not legal, how people doctor shop, how they scam doctors, how they alter and forge prescriptions, other sources of diversion, how to investigate a major case should they have a criminal prescriber in their area, and we do this for free.
Another free service from Purdue Pharma is RX Patrol, standing for Prescription Pattern Analysis, tracking robberies and other losses. It's an online information clearinghouse.
RX Patrol captures data from police departments and from pharmacies concerning robberies, burglaries, and other losses that the pharmacy has experienced. The report is downloaded via computer. It contains information on the type of crime, the suspect description, methods of operation, maybe notes or weapons displayed, and things like that.
A police captain in Stamford, Connecticut, analyzes all of the data and tries to find matches, like similar suspect descriptions, weapons, notes, or methods of operation. The information then goes out to members via email. It allows officers in different jurisdictions to have the same information, but it's only as good as the people who use it.
The RX Patrol is a computer-based internet site. It's an extremely easy drop-down boxes that you simply check. There's a narrative space where they can enter the information and submit it. But if they don't submit it, there's no information to share.
So why is a company whose goal is to maximize profits spending hundreds of thousands of dollars each year providing free training?
Purdue is proactive in this, number one, because it's the right thing to do. But the second reason is the abuse of prescription drugs is causing the availability of these drugs to legitimate patients to drug. We've had cases where terminal cancer patients cannot get the pain medications that they need because the doctor is afraid that the relatives of that patient will take that medication and abuse it. So you have a person who dies in severe pain because the doctors are afraid to prescribe the needed medication. We can't make this medication not available to legitimate patients because of the actions of criminals.
Landon Gibbs says Purdue Pharma researchers are also trying to develop a new formula for OxyContin to make it less prone to abuse, but that could take years. If you're interested in the free training program from Purdue, go to the company website at www.purduepharma.com or call 203-588-8000 and ask for the Law Enforcement Liaison and Education Unit. If you want to sign up and participate in RX Patrol, go to the website at www.rxpatrol.org. Purdue Pharma also sponsors the Painfully Obvious program. It's targeted to middle and early high schoolers, and it uses potty humor to get its point across.
Kids don't like to be talked down to. They don't like to be lectured to. So the Painfully Obvious program tries to make it a peer issue. What will happen to you if you take these drugs? You'll throw up. You'll have diarrhea, all the other things that are going to make them look foolish in front of their friends. So that's what that's designed around it, is peer pressure. You don't want to look foolish in front of your friends. So that's one reason to stay away from these things.
Purdue says Painfully Obvious isn't a prevention program. It's an awareness program, complete with sticky brains, also handouts for parents, posters, stickers, discussion guides. If you'd like to find out more about the Painfully Obvious program, the website is www.painfullyobvious.com. Another organization offering training is the National Association of Drug Diversion Investigators, NADI. They have several regional training conferences like this one each year. There's also a national conference. NADI is a membership organization that began in 1987. Its objective is to improve members' ability to investigate and prosecute pharmaceutical drug diversion cases. The organization has a helpline where people can submit questions. It also helps distribute notices from RX Patrol, the online tracking system. There are also chapters in many states. NADI has a website. It's www.nadi.org. The Multi-Jurisdictional Counter-Drug Task Force Training Program also offers dozens of classes and free online training. You can read all about the classes at www.mctft.com. So what's next in the fight against prescription drug abuse? The information superhighway is posing lots of big problems. Chances are your email inbox contains messages about how to get drugs without a prescription. They link to all sorts of different websites.
There are hundreds of thousands of sites on the internet that are engaged in the purveying of controlled substances to people who search for them on the internet. The issues that we have on the enforcement side are exacerbated because these internet sites do not list their address. You don't know where to find them. They could shut down one day and pop up under a new name the next day.
The DEA, FDA, and ONDCP are now using web crawler technology to identify, investigate, and prosecute internet pharmacies that distribute controlled substances illegally. Now keep in mind, it is illegal to buy a controlled substance from a foreign internet site and have it shipped to the U.S. The only exception is if the purchaser is registered with the DEA as an importer. Here's some advice about how to tell if an internet pharmacy is shady. The site does not participate in any insurance plan and requires all payments by credit card, cash, money order, or COD. Requires you to waive some of your rights before they send the drugs. Does not ask for the name, address, and phone number of a current physician. Advises sending drugs to a P.O. box. Or does not require a prescription. The DEA has a website and a phone number to report suspicious pharmacies. The website is www.deadiversion.usdoj.gov. The phone number is a little easier. It's 877-RX-ABUSE. We've talked about the problem of prescription drug abuse and some ways to prevent it. But what about the people who already have addiction issues? According to the 2003 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, 6.3 million Americans used one or more prescription drugs for non-medical purposes. That means a lot of people might need treatment. Several treatment options are out there using many different approaches. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, known as SAMHSA, has a great website all about prescription drugs, including a treatment locator. The website is rx.samhsa.gov. We've covered lots of information during this past hour, but there's still more to learn. This problem of prescription drug abuse is changing every day. I'm Sue Zelenko. Thanks for watching.
That was a little good shit about pharmaceutical drugs and how much the motherfuckers there. It's killing our people. And it's coming right out of the medicine cabinet. But that's the bullshit. If you don't take control over what you put into your body and allow the doctors to control what you put in your body, the doctor's going to take control of your body by filling you up with medication. I'm just saying, it's time to think healthy, to be healthy, and start the change from within. Starting where you start at, starting from your heart, your first start, what was created for you to be in the womb. I'm just saying, the truth is the truth, period. Fuck all the bullshit. I'm just trying to spread the truth, because the love that I have in me, you have in you. It is the creator to make you a good creator too. I'm just saying. I'm Mr. Glasses. The truth is the truth. Fuck all that bullshit.